and welcome to B&B Gaming's PodBytes E3 Special. And with me today are only two of the chaps. Nevertheless, that does not mean that there will be less opinion and less engaging discussion than usual. To discuss, obviously, the biggest gaming expo on the planet of the year. And I suppose you can't say of the century because E3 this year, in our view, was a bit of a disappointment. Anyway, yes, we're here today to talk about E3, all the brand new games, give our views on the conferences which were given by Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, and just talk about any other bits and bobs that happened to occur throughout the first few days of the show. So, with me today to discuss this rather exciting topic, we've got North American managing editor Pascal Takaya. Hello, Pascal.
Yo, it's so exciting. You have no idea.
Yes, it is really exciting, and also joining Pascal with me is one of our writers, and we do love him lots. It's Mr. Rexley Penaflorida II.
Hello.
Who sounds very distant.
Are you cliff diving right now?
Yeah.
I should be.
Are we interrupting you, maybe?
He's actually.
Can we get this done before they pull the chute? That would be greatly appreciated. Okay. Hi, guys.
Hello. Yes, so
That's
guys.
it. We're gonna send Rexley backstage, like the guy at the.
Oh God.
Yes,
He's gonna be the
Ubisoft.
backstage correspondent.
Let's
Lord.
start off with that because I think Ubisoft's E3 conference this year was probably the best out of all the conferences shown, which is amazing for a company which isn't one of the big three.
And you liked it because of Tobuscus, right?
Well, Tobuscus was one of the downsides, as well as I don't know of the name of the lady who's hosting.
Aisha Tyler.
Yeah, Alicia Tyler.
She actually has some. She's best known for she's a voice character in the show called Archer. It's an animated show on FX, and her character is really hilarious over there. And I'm
Hilarious.
kind of sad that she had to stoop low to host Ubisoft because that was painstaking to watch.
Get a paycheck. Yeah, no, I think it was just. I mean, this is always the way I think with E3 and stuff like that. When they get celebrities up on stage, it's just very, very awkward. I mean, they had it one year with I think it might have been 2008. They had Duffy come up on stage to sing a song during the Microsoft conference, and I was just like, no, no one's there wants to really see that. And it's a bit like they had Usher this year. Yeah, it's a nice spectacle, but why don't you spend the 3 minutes in which he was dancing, actually telling us about the game or something,
Which
fairly useful.
Oh, which game was he on there during?
He was during Dance Central 3, I believe. Was that right? I think he was. Yeah, no, he was. He was definitely. He was there. He was talking about it, and they had a brief bit at the start, like a video clip of him saying, "I've worked with the guys at Harmonix," and all this sort of stuff. And then he just broke out into dance, and I don't know, it just seemed kind of weird.
I did miss that. I saw Flow Rider, obviously at the Ubisoft conference, and that's the only one that's what I thought you were referring to. I didn't realize that Aisha Tyler was hosting. To be honest, I thought she was just there to make uncomfortable sexual innuendo. And I mean,
God,
you know
that
what?
was terrible.
Yeah, I'm sure nobody comes for literally for the song and dance, but at what point did somebody make the awesome suggestion? Let's pair the song and dance with just mind-numbingly unfunny banter.
Exactly, yeah.
All the Ladywood jokes and.
Oh god, yeah.
Which is not just unfunny, but it's disturbing and the more you think about it, just really graphic and.
I just don't know why most of these conferences need all this little side talk or fluff to tell their announcements. Why can't you just say, "Oh, here it is. Check it out. Someone will comment with it. There you go." You don't need all this little happy-go-lucky or an innuendo talk to go with it.
I agree, and you know what? I think. Well, I know we haven't really finished or even started talking about the Ubisoft conference or any of them, but I think that's what Sony did so well. I really appreciated them for it this year.
there's something about Jack Tretton. He just, I know he's sort of he's said a few things in the past and whatnot, but when he comes out on stage, he's just, well, not sexy things, but I know he's sort of, I know, he comes out.
He said there's something about him. I thought maybe.
Oh yeah. No, it's his tie, man. I just love it, and
it's a killer tie, you know it.
He looks so good in the suit. He's really sexy and suave. Jack Tretton, yeah. Do you know, he actually reminds me of William Shatner. I don't know why. It's like a younger William Shatner.
I can see.
Hello and welcome to the Sony conference.
He kind of looks a bit like him. And but yeah, no, I mean, with Jack Tretton, he just comes out and he's just really sincere, and he just talks about what everyone's there for. Regardless of the fact that they showed us Wonder Book, which was wonderful, but again, wasn't given far too much time. But yeah, like Tobuscus and this Alicia Tyler lady. Aisha. I mean, that was just such a cringe-worthy. Oh, Aisha, sorry. That's terrible. I can't even remember her name. But such a terrible. It's such a terrible pairing, and the whole thing was forced. It wasn't planned very well. They sort of made it sound like it was, but. There was just interruption. And why was that guy? Why was Tobuscus backstage? Like, what was the purpose of having?
I don't even know.
I can't hear his name and not laugh.
Exactly. It's just, it was ridiculous. Otherwise, it was a really good conference. I mean, obviously we saw some really, really good games. I think everyone's favorite here during that segment had to be Watch Dogs, which just looks amazing.
Yeah, and also I think just favorite, from the whole show altogether for many people from what I've heard.
Definitely. I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, they got some time to show the Wii U, and I liked that. I was concerned because I thought that they, that was going to be sort of completely restricted until Nintendo had their conference. I would have liked to have seen sort of more of Zombie U, which I think, it was shown in Nintendo's conference yesterday.
Were you proud when they played?
Ubisoft to go for it. Oh,
were
sorry.
Were you proud when they were playing God Save the Queen throughout that whole montage?
Yes.
Because I know Deck was like, "It's glorious. I love this song."
Yeah. Although seeing the capital city of my country overrun with zombies wasn't too something to be too proud of, It's like a really bad case of like swine flu just infected half of London, and it just turned out for the worse.
Watch them have a level like at Reading, and then you're like, "Where's my house? Where's my house? Oh my God, there's my house, and it's burned to the ground."
There's zombies everywhere in it. Apparently, I was reading this. I've been really looking into the game, and you only have one life. I think it's a case of like you just start playing and you have to try and survive as long as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Which is quite unique, I was expecting it to be this really sort of, I don't know, lame story-driven affair, and it may well have that in there. But the fact that it's a case of just survive as long as you can.
So what? I feel like if you die, then you'd go off the beginning again, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think you do. You think you start again, or maybe you spawn randomly somewhere. Again, I haven't. Unfortunately, I've been looking at so many other games. I haven't had the time to look in mass amount of detail. But I read a quick thing about it, and I thought, well, that sounds quite fun. So
that depends on probably how a lot of the game design. I mean, that can be fun. If each time you start over, becomes a very unique experience. If it's very linear and going through the same motions again and again, then I probably would disagree with that.
True. And again, we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, I think we're all in agreement on this one. Ubisoft was one of the strongest showings. I for one as well also been, and there is an article about this written by our very own Daniel Madavi on the website, which you can find at bmbgaming.com if you are listening to this on iTunes.
Or YouTube.
Or YouTube. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. But yeah, there's an article written penned by Daniel Madavi, where he says how he was converted, to Assassin's Creed 3 after viewing the demo which they had. And I have to be honest, I was too. Assassin's Creed has not really been a series I've ever really been that interested in. I didn't really quite see what the fuss was about, but I'm actually quite looking forward to Assassin's Creed 3. I'm going to catch up on all my lore and all the previous games, and I think I may well invest in it because it does look it does look the bee's knees, as they say. I don't think they actually do say that, but sorry. I don't know where that
Well,
came
they
from.
say that, but none of us do.
None of us do. No one is actually cool and involved with video games.
That's like you saying Watch Dogs is an absolute firecracker.
Yeah, I think Tobuscus might well say the bee's knees, but that's about it.
Yeah. Oh dear. The difference was he was paid to say that. So, yes.
Oh,
so yeah, Ubisoft with good. Let's move on to also to a similar company, EA, which I don't know. I mean, my instant thoughts on EA actually was it was a lot better than what it usually is. To be honest, when I look at the EA and their lineup of games and stuff, usually I just think, this is an absolute snore fest. There's a couple of big hits in there, but otherwise it's nothing I'd ever really be interested in. But I think they had a fairly good showing. You've got to allow for the sports games and stuff, which just aren't of any interest to me. But Dead Space 3, and I know Rex is going to shoot, absolutely kill me for this, but it does look quite good. Exactly. Just maybe not. I'm not a fan of survival horror because every time I play one of those games, I crap my pants. So, maybe this will finally make it accessible to me. But then again, am I going to play it if I haven't played the first two? I remember watching someone play the first one. I never actually played it myself, and that was enough.
I was going to say.
But that was terrifying.
But maybe you like the feeling, the warm feeling spreading across your loins as you sit in your own house.
What are you talking about?
Oh my god!
What are you talking about?
Oh, dearie me.
I think I'm referring to what Martin said. Did you not just say I literally crap my pants?
I know, but even then, I'm not sure if I enjoy sitting in my own mess, even if it is warm.
That's the only way you would enjoy Dead Space.
Only way to enjoy it. Yes.
I was going to say that, like,
with a bit.
The reason why I don't think it's gonna be as good is because I remember when you playing the first Dead Space, I remember people were talking about how like the fact that Visceral didn't even put, or at the time it was EA Redwood Shores, where they didn't even put one of those like in Resident Evil, the whole the button combination of turning around like 180 degrees. You had to turn the camera all the way around for it to happen. I feel like with the one thing that I'm not going to like about the third one is that rolling feature. Because, if you see like the claws of the necromorphs right behind you, all you have to do is roll away. Whereas, what you would have to do in the first one is, oh crap, either A, run, or B, turn around and melee them, or turn around and, walk backwards and start shooting their limbs off.
Exactly.
This rolling one, it seems too easy. And I think I saw him crouching too behind some cover. I don't know what I'm gonna think about. I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna think about that. And
that might have been Chad outside your house, though. Crouching behind cover, lest you see him spying on you.
But that's really, I feel I think I know what Visceral Games is trying to do by making Isaac this more fluid moving guy instead of being restricted in moves. But the restriction in his motions is what is part of what made the series very that made it stand out in terms of survival horror genre, in the survival horror genre. And right now I'm pretty much skeptical, but I'm gonna wait until it comes out. And
yeah, I think again it's a case of seeing. We were only shown a really brief gameplay clip, so that might show one of the action scenes. But when we get into it, you might find like further on in the game, it does become that that sort of very isolated experience. And what would be great is if kind of like what they've done in Gears of War, actually, to sort of use it as an example. But you have it so that you and your your co-op partner split off and go your separate ways for like certain bits of the game.
That would be really cool. Not gonna lie, if you like separated for a second and then came back. But co-op thing, I'm really skeptical about, because unless you don't have I guess chatting with the other person on like while you guys are playing, I don't think it's going to be.
Nah, you're right. It's not the same scale effect. Like, yeah.
Look, there's a thing. Oh, I'm scared. Yeah, but hey, look, my other guy's got a gun. He's done. Whereas if, like, let's say I played it with one of you guys, and you're like, crap, What's behind this corner? What's behind this corner? Oh God! There's a thing behind this corner! Bring out your guns! Bring out your gun! Bring out your gun! That could be remedied with chat. So again, I'm skeptical about it right now, but I have to wait until it comes out and really test it out.
What about sorry, just to move on because we've got quite a lot to cover. What about Medal of Honor Warfighter? What did everyone think of that? I mean, I was playing, funny enough, the original Medal of Honor earlier, sort of going through it just to try and get a feel for it and sort of get myself ready for Warfighter. I'm not a major fan of it, to be honest. I think it's a bit generic and stuff. What did everyone think of the trailer shown for it? Yay, nay?
I can't say I really care.
I think they were trying to push that sort of idea of this game will have a more personal story, but it just looked like more of the same.
It goes along with that whole generic shooter thing. They're pretty much one and the same nowadays. You really can't make it quote unquote stand out from the rest, because that's what everyone's just trying to be like. Oh, we're totally better than Call of Duty because we got this, or this is so much different than that other game, and it's just like, oh, well, okay, never mind, you know. And that whole Global Warfighter, was it their multiplayer thing they called Global Warfighter? I'm not sure what they're gonna do with that, but I just found it to be really pretty much just the same as any other shooter, and I wasn't even the slightest bit impressed.
No, well, that's funny actually, because that's one of the things which did stand out for me from E3, and I have written about this on the site as part of our E3 coverage, so to speak, is a shooter game, Halo 4, which, you know, for all its faults, some of it is sort of more of the same, especially like the campaign and things like that. But there is one really interesting feature about it, which is this Spartan Ops mode, where essentially like I think they said every week, but that sounds a bit too much. It might be a case
sounds
of
ambitious, really.
Yeah, but you know, they're going to release like seasons of new sort of downloadable episodes which you play through. And I think that's a really, really good way to sort of to deliver content, you know, for the same game. Like I always find that, you know, with Halo, I sort of go through Halo Reach. Sorry, I go through moments where like I play it for, you know, for a certain period of time, then I stop, and then I get back into it, start. I really think something like that would keep me coming back to it on a very regular basis, you know, if done right. How much it costs is another thing, but
I will say then, you know, that's commendable that they're incorporating a delivery method and spacing out content like that in a way that, you know, we haven't really seen a whole lot of, and doing something unique. But that being said, I mean, are multiplayer games really having a hard time, you know, getting their core players to return to them and keep coming back for prolonged periods of time, especially something like Halo.
Yeah, Halo is pretty popular in terms of multiplayer.
So I'm really not. I don't want to fault them for it at all. You know, that it's as we've discussed. You know, and many people will agree that the more innovation that we see at an event like E3, the better. So nothing against that at all. I just don't know. Like, is Halo the game that really needs that in order to, you know, have a lengthy multiplayer life?
Well, I suppose. I mean, people still do play it on a regular basis. I know Halo Reach is still popular. I'm not sure if it's as popular as say Call of Duty. You know, that game's always got like, you know, hundreds of thousands of people playing it at any one time. Whereas I think Halo tends to be, you know, it's very rare that it sort of breaks the 100,000 barrier. So I don't know, and also that, you know, they are incorporating a lot of, and this is what I'm sort of quite skeptical about. They're incorporating a lot of sort of Call of Duty-esque features, like you've got sort of deeper loadouts and perks and kill streaks and things like that. And I don't know, that's something which I don't think Halo does need. So again, I imagine they're just, you know, the fact with Halo is it has a strong following, and if they were to release, you know, episodes of, you know, new downloadable episodes as they're sort of going to be, they stand to make a lot of money from it because people will lap it up. I know that for a fact because I will be one of the first people there. So, now, unfortunately.
Now with this this episodic content, that's a completely different story from, you know, the events of Halo 4, or is that like? Is that supposed to be like bridging the line between what happened between 3 and 4?
I think it runs alongside it. It doesn't involve the same. Well, it might have some of the same characters, but I think it runs in parallel. And it's sort of for, I don't know, Spartan characters, which is going to be you and your friends or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or up to 4, and so, it's just in case you play. I don't know. Again, they don't know what the story is, but apparently they've mapped it out so that they've got about 3 years worth of content already.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, if with episodic content like this, I'm wondering how long they can extend this story so that people stay interested, because it's good. It can either be a short story, but a lot of great detail and character development into it, or it could be like any show and jump anime, which is like in its umpteenth year and its 50 billionth episode, and nothing has progressed. And
yeah. Well, no, I think that they would stand a benefit. Like they said like one every week or something, and I think that might have just been like a mistranslation somewhere, or misinterpretation. I would have thought, they would have done it just like a TV series where maybe once a year, perhaps maybe twice a year, they release a batch of new episodes or something. I don't know, say like you get 12 or something in a season, to play through. And I mean, I personally would love it if I got a new episode every week, every single week until, I don't know, Halo 5 or whatever it is comes out afterwards. There's something there which is fresh for me to play, because that will keep me interested. But again, having the seasons and stuff like that, and sort of keeping people waiting, and then they come back to it, that probably makes more sense from a business point of view.
Would these be download content that you can purchase, or would it be free because with a one-time purchase fee of the game?
I think what it is the first season is free for everyone, probably to get people hooked on it. And then after that, I don't know if it's download per episode, download per season, both. I don't think it's been confirmed yet. They haven't confirmed any prices as far as I'm aware either. So, of course, by the time people listen to this podcast, that may well have happened. But there's no solid details just yet. So that's something we'll have to obviously to keep our eyes on. If they are going to do pricing, my personal opinion is that it needs to be affordable. Like depending on how long. I say this, it depends on how long an episode is. If it's an hour's worth of new content every week, that's great. And I would probably be willing to pay a couple of pounds for that. But if they're going to start charging, like £5 or I don't know $8 or something like that per episode, that's when it gets too costly to sort of keep up with. And again, what if you sort of get to the end of a season and you just don't enjoy it? It's going to be a massive waste of money. So, that's something to keep an eye on. Obviously, want to move on because we've got quite a lot of ground to cover still. I want to go to carry on with the Microsoft theme. Now, obviously, the Microsoft conference, as you can see, Deck was pretty cutting about this on the website in his article entitled "The Xbox is Creatively Dead," which doesn't leave anything to the imagination. I don't know. What did you guys think?
I didn't really see much of Microsoft just because I was in class and I was basically switching between a slideshow and multimedia and watching Microsoft. But from what I saw, it was mostly I saw the first batch of it with Halo 3 or Halo 4, excuse me, and that was pretty. I was pretty much impressed with Halo 4, and I haven't played a Halo game since Halo 2, and even then I wasn't really invested in the series just because I don't, for one, own an Xbox, and two, it just doesn't interest me at all. But I saw that and I was pretty impressed with the gameplay. Was great. One thing that I'm seeing a lot of, not just in Halo 4, but just everything else, is that whole detective mode where look, I can't see no one. Okay, let me just get my little detective mode, quote unquote, from the Batman series,
Yes.
and let me see where Creepy Crawly is in the trees, or is he behind a leaf? Let me shoot him, because my bullets apparently can penetrate through anything. But yeah, going back to the whole Microsoft press conference, from what I've read and seen online, it pretty much went downhill, didn't it? From like Halo, Halo, and then
definitely. I think they started off strong. They showed Halo and a few other bits and bobs, but then the minute they moved over to this entertainment section, which in its defense, someone made a very good point about this the other day. I may well have been a comment on the site, or I might have read it somewhere else. Saying that they're doing this to sort of tide us over until we get to the next Xbox, which chances are will appear at some point next year, and those other things. Hence why we're not really seeing any real major IPs, and we're seeing sort of fewer but bigger games and things like that. And I don't know, it was just disappointing. Like the smart glass, for example, sounds like really interesting tech, but I just don't see how it's useful. Like I'm going to be watching a movie on my Windows 8 tablet, as they kept saying. Well, I'm not going to watch it on that because I don't have a Windows 8 tablet, and neither does anyone else. And I'm just going to go into my living room and suddenly go, you know what? I want to watch this on the screen, and I'm just going to somehow beam it across to my Xbox. Which fair enough, it does do that. But what I mean is that, am I really going to go in there, turn my Xbox on, turn my TV on, switch through to the right AV channel, sit down, get comfortable, and then beam this? It's not as seamless as they make it sound.
It sounds like very Wii U-ish, is what it is. They're trying to get into that market and trying to make people like, hey, that's cool with the Wii U. Yeah, we have something about the same.
Yeah.
But
maybe they'll call it the Wii U Me Too.
Oh, God.
Oh yeah, trademark that, boys.
Oh God. Oh.
Mark my words.
Yes, I can see it coming.
Oh.
Yes. It's I don't know. It looks like interesting tech, but it just depends on what they do with it. They said, oh yeah, you can use this for games and stuff, but then all they showed was some like really crappy Madden demo and stuff like that. Is it actually going to sort of be a core part of the gameplay, or is it just going to be one of these tacked-on features where we end up downloading an app and it costs us a ton of money? I don't know. They've already essentially done this anyway with the Halo Waypoint app, which you can get on iOS, and I imagine probably on a few other things. You can download, I think it's called Atlas, which is it gives you like detailed. Well, I say detailed. It gives you maps of like the multiplayer, and you can link it to the game that you're in. So supposedly the map is meant to update in real time, and show you where your position, your teammates' positions on the map, and show you what's going on whilst you're playing. And I actually tried using this at one point. I tried using this quite a while ago now, and I just couldn't find it. I just couldn't get used to it. Like I'm trying to focus on the screen. I'm trying to make sure I don't get killed, and I'm trying to drive my vehicle. And then I'm looking down at the tablet, going, "Oh, what's going on with my teammates?" And it wasn't even updating in real time. It was like 5 seconds behind. So it was completely useless. It had absolutely no purpose whatsoever.
I feel that
I had these little icons moving around my screen.
I think that map, though, I mean, like it seems like stuff like that in games would probably be charged as extra DLC. I don't think it would ever come in with the box, and I think it's just finding another way for developers to get more money out of you, and
Exactly.
And like one thing I just want to go back to, because one thing we didn't touch on with EA was Battlefield 3 and how they were promoting this premium package that they had, and it's like, no, you again copying Call of Duty with Elite, getting that premium thing set up, and just I don't. There's just a lot of things that would be on the is it Smart Glass, right? That's what it's called, Smart Glass.
Smart Glass, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like something that it wouldn't. It seems completely useless and something that someone else that would take advantage of and charge for extra content that really wouldn't be
exactly
useful.
Didn't they say at some point with maybe I completely misheard this. I always thought with Battlefield 3 that they said that they would never charge for extra DLC. I swear that was mentioned at some point last year
or the year before. Hearing that at some point, but probably.
I don't know. I always thought that was the case. They're like, oh yeah, we're never planning on doing that, and then they do. And I think you're right with premium. Like the way that they tried dressing it up at the EA conference was like, oh yeah, we're giving so much so much content to these people, and we're helping you improve their gameplay experience. But effectively, it's just a quick way of making cash. You get everyone to pay up front, and it to be honest, is it going to cost them? This DLC, it's sort of going to be worked into their plan. They've sold God knows how many copies of Battlefield 3, and they would have been working on this DLC long before the game was, was released. So, the way I look at it, it's really a case of, it's just getting money out of people quicker. You're not getting a premium service. You're just like guaranteed that you're gonna get some DLC and you can log into some website or something and something like that. It just seems, like I said, excessive.
Sorry guys, I just keep hearing Call of Duty and Battlefield.
What are we talking about?
Never ending. Exactly. So let's move on, because Microsoft, we know it was very entertainment based. Wasn't very I don't know. Funny enough, entertaining. It wasn't entertaining, despite being an entertainment focused thing. What about let's move on to Sony, because obviously there's sort of more direct competition. What did we think of the Sony conference in general? Aside from obviously Jack Tretton's sexy voice.
I was gonna make a mention of it because you were talking about Tretton earlier, and it didn't hit me until like maybe about 15 minutes into the Sony conference that it was around this time last year where he just went up there and just apologized, to the public for the hacking incident.
Yeah.
And I just remember
exactly
I was like,
this time.
It was just like, whoa, like that's how it should start. And then they rolled on with the Vita, and they revealed the name and the pricing, and that was great. And then I'm really sad this year that they didn't have a lot of Vita showing. I mean, they showed some Vita, but not as much as I would have liked, because I know I said on we were chatting on Skype here that I was saying that I now will get a Vita, but I realized that I'm still on the fence about it, and I was hoping for some encouragement from them, something that would make me want to get it. I'm still on the fence on it.
Sorry, I just picture Jack Tretton as for the South Park episode with the CEO of BP apologizing for the oil spills and we're sorry. Naked holding a puppy, and that's the way I picture Jack Tretton a year ago.
Yeah. What was the thing he said at the time? It was hilarious. He said something like, they played a clip of this the other day, and he's just something like, "Oh, apparently, lots of my friends in the gaming press tell me that nothing makes their editor's day more than really, really bad news. So we just want to say from us, you're welcome." Something like that. It was really good. I thought, in all fairness, he turned that into a good joke. So, but yes, let's get back to this year's conference. What did we think of what was shown? Any outstanding pieces of software?
I gotta say, I liked it. The conference as a whole. They had some favorites that they regardless of what you say, but I mean, God of War Ascension, there's it may not be groundbreaking, but it's certainly a favorite franchise, and
it looked good.
Yeah, and I can't imagine why more of it would be bad in any way. Obviously the new Assassin's Creed, but they also showed new IP, in which so I would praise the Sony conference for its more straightforward presentation, and the fact that they they included some old I don't want to call them old because they're new games, but
like old favorite franchises,
yeah, as well as new IP, which looked really exciting. And I know, Rexley, you were about to say something, and I kind of cut you off, and I bet you were gonna say something about one of those probably.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna talk about the two things that were really. I mean, overall, it was great. I liked it a lot. The one thing I'm interested in, but I think I still need more convincing on, is, besides the Vita, was David Cage's, was it Beyond Two Souls?
Yeah, Beyond Two Souls, yeah.
Like my stream got cut off halfway through, or at some point during when they were showing the gameplay. But Ellen Page's character didn't even say anything, and I don't really think I got enough to see off of that, or to get excited for. But I liked Heavy Rain, and this is probably one of those. And David Cage, I don't think Quantic Dream is gonna stay off that, or gonna go off that beaten path of making stories like this. So I want to see something new in Beyond Two Souls that makes it stand out from Heavy Rain. I was gonna say also. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say. Well, what I was gonna say, like with the story, I mean, it's very, it's quite surreal, and it's got that sort of It's got the same sort of edge that Fahrenheit, or to the Americans, Indigo Prophecy had, where obviously that's sort of based less in realism and
supernatural thriller.
Supernatural thriller. That's the term I'm looking for. Thank you very much. And the only thing I worry about though with it is whether or not David Cage, because obviously he's writing the game, I believe he's doing the story for it. I just hope that it doesn't go off the rails like Fahrenheit did, because that was really disappointing. It's one of those games that started off really strong, and then towards the end it was just actually ridiculous. Obviously he's got lots of more experience now doing this sort of games and things, and Heavy Rain was a massive success. So hopefully that isn't the case with Beyond, because it does look really good.
I think they really have to work hard on how this story will develop and how to make it appealing to everyone, because if you just say, oh yeah, you're pressing buttons, so people are gonna be like, oh okay, so basically it's like Heavy Rain. That's what I'm worried about the most. I was gonna say the two things that I didn't like from that whole, I mean, it was a solid conference overall, but the two things that I didn't like at all was one, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, because I think every time we were watching it, we were all just saying, it's just Super Smash Bros. It's just Super Smash Bros. It's just Super Smash Bros. There's nothing interesting about it at all.
It's very, very non-unique, and to be honest, it doesn't even look like Smash Bros. To be honest, it looks closer to Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion, which is a really bad fighting game. It didn't even look that good. Like the whole premise where you have to sort of build your power bar up and then you just have that unstoppable move. It just stank. It didn't look fun to play. Yeah, I do like how it's got crossplay between Vita and PS3. I think that's quite cool. But I don't know. I was looking forward to seeing more about that, and then when they actually showed us it, I just thought this looks uninspired. It doesn't have the same magic as Smash Bros. I'm a huge Smash Bros. Fan, so I'm going to be biased. But
well, can I say something like from a completely ignorant standpoint, or at least like ignorant of this of Smash Brothers? I'm saying this as somebody who's I've not really ever played it. I don't get it. Like I've tried it, but it doesn't appeal to me. But I kind of have to wonder, Smash Brothers, like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but is part of the draw not the like the how else to say it, the lovable Nintendo characters?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's the fact that without the Nintendo characters, would it have ever really taken off? Probably not. Because it would have just seemed bland or whatever. I think that's what's enabled it to grow. But the reason why people sort of play it lots now is because it does have surprisingly deep gameplay. It's a game which is it's very easy to play but incredibly difficult to master. And there's lots of sort of intricacies which they're not very apparent at first. When you're fighting, they have tiers and have these really serious tournaments and around the world and things like that. And I just hope that and again I looked at a brief gameplay video, so it's quite hard for me to sort of make a judgment call on it. But All Stars Battle Royale just didn't seem to have that sort of.
It wasn't unique enough in my opinion.
Same feel to it. It just looked like it was a massive mess. It didn't look like people were sort of playing skillfully or anything like that. It just looked, I mean, again, it's just testers and stuff. So I want to see how intricate the game is and how if it has a lot more depth to the actual fighting. So if it is just a case of PlayStation characters jumping around the screen, and it's just absolute madness the entire time, it's not going to hold people's attention very long. Which is why, and this is why Smash Bros. Is popular. Yes, it's Nintendo and it's got all the great Nintendo feel to it, but at the same time, it's still a really great game.
Yeah. I mean, I can watch. I can watch Smash Brothers even as a non-player, and I think it. And when I watch it, I think it's funny. I think it's cute. I was watching the Battle Royale presentation, and not only could I not tell what was happening on screen, I mean, the graphics looked just really muddled to me and chaotic, and then the characters, I didn't care about them at all.
No.
Yeah. And he kept saying like, oh, he's getting his first super and then his second super, and the entire time he was talking, I was like, wait, what? I don't understand what's going on. It's just no, I don't know.
Exactly.
I just wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really interested by it. I was gonna say the other thing too. Just briefly touch on it, even though it's absolutely terrible, is Sony's little Wonder Book, which there are so many places where I could have said, okay, that's enough, stop, more Vita. Okay, now stop, please, seriously, more Vita. There's actually a point where I literally pressed a mute on the volume. I didn't want to watch or listen to any more of this. It was just horrid from the get-go.
It's the wrong type of show to show something like that. This is an industry, sort of specialist show. Don't get me wrong, like the industry is want to see this stuff as well. But if you want to create a buzz with gamers who are watching, show them something meaty, which they can sink their teeth into. Wonder Book is not that. It looks fun. I'm sure the concept's great, and it will sell by the bucket load. But again, we just don't want to see it. And
but Sony did that.
I just want to sort of.
They did do that for the core gamers, with Beyond and The Last of Us, and maybe even with God of War and Far Cry and Assassin's Creed. I mean, I don't want to defend it too much, Wonder Book. I haven't made up my mind about it, but I think maybe I feel a little bit more charitable towards it than some of us do on the site. I haven't quite crystallized my argument yet, but I think I do agree that the presentation was way too long. I mean, I would have been satisfied with a 5-minute presentation as opposed to the 17 3/4 or whatever it took. But still though, I gotta say that's another thing that I think Sony maybe should get a slight pat on the back. Where Microsoft was just biding its time for the next console, not really showing much new. Sony not only came out with some original IP, but sure, they didn't present a new console, but they did go and show off some new hardware that's coming out. And I think if used correctly and done correctly and cheap and accessible, that there could be some fun to be had with that, for younger gamers.
So that's good. I want to move on to the last bit, which was, in my opinion, the most disappointing part of the E3, which is Nintendo conference, which I guess also you guys saw or at least heard about. And I just want to sort of open this up, as obviously we haven't got too much time left. We've been talking quite a while, so we've got to make sure we cover the important things. What do you guys think is... let's just talk about what do you think of the conference in general, because there's a lot of disappointment across sort of Twitter and the internet about how Nintendo went about its conference. It was very focused on the casual, and there was very little for the core to lap up, really, and to get excited about the system, which supposedly Nintendo were using to bring the core back.
Yeah, the only two things I saw that I really liked was Pikmin 3, which they showed off at the beginning, and a little bit of Super Mario Brothers U, is that what it's called? Or Super Mario Brothers Wii U. That looked really interesting as well. But other than that, I really wasn't impressed by it. I was reading on Twitter as I was watching it, and they were saying, oh, Nintendo's showing off, I think it was 23 games. And that was exciting for people as they were typing it up. But then you realize halfway through, oh, they showed either games that we really weren't interested in or wasn't even interesting to begin with, and they were all mini titles.
It was very much. It's very much it was just updated ports. Like Batman Arkham City Armored Edition. Really great to see Batman. One of the Batman Arkham games on a Nintendo system. In HD, but there's just no appeal. Why would I want to go and spend full price buying a game which came out last year, and playing again, and the gameplay features weren't even worth sort of.
No, it wasn't appealing at all.
No, it was they were lame. They were, like you said, detective mode.
Yeah. But yeah, I tweeted as I watched.
Awesome! I can't wait.
Yeah, well, you would like it.
I was tweeting as I was watching it, and I was like, I could do the same thing with a PS3 controller, and even faster than whatever the hell that was.
Exactly. it's not intuitive. Something like a perfect example is Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time 3D, which came out for 3DS last year. They updated that game whereby the lower touchscreen is the menu, and the menu's always active, and you could just select your items you wanted at any point whilst playing the game. So you didn't have to pause the game, or enter a menu and pull out all this sort of stuff. And that's how the Wii U, it should be used in that instance. It shouldn't be a case of you're going in, looking through all your inventory and bringing up all these stats and stuff like that, whilst trying to, Batman Arkham City, that's not that sort of game. You don't just stand around picking things, especially in the middle of combat. So I thought it was on the whole, it's really disappointing. I think, even though I wasn't expecting anything more at launch because this has been rumored for some time, we should have been shown things like Star Fox, F-Zero, maybe a new Mario, a 3D Mario game, or just hinting at it, saying this is what you can expect. At the minute, there's nothing to be excited about. It's like Nintendo last year said, "Oh, here's the Wii U. We showed it to you. We didn't really tell you much about it, but next year we're going to tell you so much more." And it finally gets to next year, and we don't know any more than we did last year. We just know that a couple of games are coming out, and some of those games were announced beforehand. So,
less. So basically, you just want less third party and more first party. Is all I'm hearing?
I think it's not so much that. I think the problem with it is and this is sort of what I try to allude to. I've written an article on this on the website, which you can see, the lost message, as I've called it, whereby the problem with it is Nintendo said, "Oh, how can we win the core over?" And they've gone to all these third-party companies and like, "Yeah, we're going to get you back on board," and all this sort of stuff. And then they've just come in and they're just releasing ports of games which have already come out. Now, anyone who owns an Xbox 360 or PS3, they're not going to suddenly go, "Oh my god, I have to get that for Wii U." They're not going to buy the same game again.
No, they won't.
What they should be doing is that just Pascal. What they should be doing is looking to bring across, bring across upcoming games maybe, and make a Wii U version. For example, like Aliens: Colonial Marines, or games further down the line, or system exclusive. I know that sounds like a stupid term in this sort of day and age to expect something that's an exclusive unless it's made by the console manufacturer itself. But there's just no appeal.
Yeah.
With the titles that they've got, and to make matters worse is that even Nintendo themselves are not delivering the goods. If they'd come out with something like F-Zero, which is the last game in particular, very hardcore racing game, very you need very precise control, and all these other things. And we didn't see anything like that. We just saw more casual games. And the problem is, Nintendo fans will probably just, will sort of take it and that's it, really. I mean, where are the games? So I'm just flabbergasted.
That's a good question.
And to be honest, Super Mario U, don't get me wrong, looks quite fun. And this is something Adam Sessler said. If anyone's watching sort of the Spike TV coverage that followed, he said, what was the point in them showing Super Mario U? It's not a game which uses the Wii U in any sort of innovative or unique way. And then 2 minutes after they show Super Mario U, they then show New Super Mario Bros. 2 for the 3DS, which looked identical in gameplay almost. I say identical. It's very similar, so it doesn't sort of make the Wii U stand out as being different because it has exactly the sort of same type of gameplay experience, as a 3DS game. So that was just my fault. I've ranted too much. Anyone want to add something quickly before we go? Or?
Does it have to be E3 related or Nintendo related, or?
Ideally. Okay, let's just talk about who do you think won E3 very quickly.
In terms of developers, I would have to say Sony.
You think Sony were top dog?
We didn't touch on this when we were talking about Sony, but The Last of Us really intrigued me. That was extremely interesting, and I'm really excited for what Naughty Dog has in store. I'm reading tweets right now and seeing that people are, asking people on the show floor how much of the game incorporates things from Uncharted, since Naughty Dog made the Uncharted series, and what I'm seeing is I don't think there's a lot of it people are saying that there's not a lot of Uncharted in there, So I'm really excited to see how Naughty Dog moves on with this new project that they have, and it looks really great.
You think that was that they kind of just had like a running joke in their head, prior to E3, they could, you haven't seen The Last of Us.
I really God. If anything, I hope that Naughty Dog continues their in-game fashion statement so that everyone in that game has a half-tucked-in shirt. I don't know if you guys ever noticed that while playing any of the Uncharted games, that any one of the characters in the Uncharted series at any time has a half-tucked shirt.
It's very chic.
Very very much so indeed.
I really hope they continue with that fashion.
Making a statement there. Pascal, who do you think won E3 for you?
I don't know. I don't feel like I won. I'll say that. It was who won? I don't know. I always dislike that question. It seems.
I know. It seems very direct.
Hopefully, gamers won. Let's and if they didn't, then nobody did.
No one won.
Yeah.
Well, a nice optimistic view there.
Yeah, in the big three, it was Sony, but not by a huge margin. Developer-wise, it was Ubisoft.
See, I think overall Ubisoft won. I think
overall Ubisoft
better than
won.
the big three.
Definitely give them the best
and I think you say I would say that the big three for me, I think they were all. I don't think they were anything spectacular. But you're probably right. Sony, I think, did have the strongest one.
I mean, these were the games that we were shown, and these were the developers and the publishers that had press conferences. I mean, there could have been a ton of great games on the floor that didn't get any exposure at all. So who won might be just kind of like asking who threw the most money, at the convention, so to speak.
Who got Usher and Tobuscus up on stage?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I don't think that Tobuscus came away feeling like a winner.
I think we should retract the whole who won statement and just change it to who made the least mistakes is, I think, what they were competing for. It wasn't who won, it's just who just didn't screw up the most.
Exactly.
I mean, to that I would say, in my opinion, Sony, but then again, I've also heard the flip side of that argument. On our own website even, Matt, one of our Sony guys, was, in his opinion, he stated that he's very upset by the lack of love that the Vita got. So from a Vita owner's perspective, maybe Sony made the most mistakes. I mean, I don't own one, so that. I don't know. It's really hard to say. I will say that, I mean, all I can really say is what I liked and what I'm excited for, which would be Watch Dogs. And I'm with Brexley on The Last of Us.
I think that's really good as well. Yeah,
my top three to watch for from this E3 is Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed 3, and Last of Us. With one of those only having confirmed a release date. I've heard that The Last of Us won't be available until 2013. So, and they're not even going to talk about when Watch Dogs is going to be released.
So for now we've seen The Last of Us.
We've seen The Last of The Last of Us.
Oh, will you stop trying to use that?
I'm on a roll, Martin.
I know. Well, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, though, I will have to bring a roll to an end because we are out of time. For our chat today. It's been good. I just want to thank both Pascal and Rexley for being with me on the podcast today. If you'd like to find out more about B&B Gaming's PodBytes, you can, of course, visit our website, bnbgaming.com, if you are, of course, listening to us through iTunes or YouTube. There's also more information at Facebook, and you can like us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/BNB Gaming. That's Bravo November Bravo Gaming, all one word. And we're also on Twitter at twitter.com/BNB Gaming. So guys, thank you very much for joining us. It sounds like it's been a bit of a weird E3, but nonetheless we managed to have a good chat about it. And we'll be back soon to talk more about the things that we love, being gaming. So thanks guys. Have a good night.
Same to you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Night. And we'll catch you soon. Take care, guys. Thanks for listening, and have a good day. Have a good day, night, wherever you are.